that this movement of abstract expressionism, this group of American artists that came together in New York City, continues to be a very popular art movement. Hi, this is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. Today I want to talk about abstract expressionism. We have been talking about many artists that were considered to be abstract expressionism artists, because abstract expressionism is an art movement which continues to be very popular today. It was an art movement that started in the 1940s and 1950s in New York City. And it was characterized by works of art that were basically, they were spontaneous, they were random. They had paint stripping, they had marks on them. They, used colors. They basically were works of art that were very different from anything else that had been seen up to that point of time. It became a real breakthrough in art at the time. And all, modern art was really based upon this sort of abstract expressionism painting that was happening in this 1940s and 1950s. It is usually said that it's with the New York School. But the New York School is not necessarily it's not like an art school. It's not a physical place. It basically was called the New York School because a group of artists that started the abstract expressionism really started it in New York City. So, this whole abstract expressionism, it didn't even, it wasn't even just with paint. It was with poetry. It was with musicians. And this all sort of started in New York City. The other important part about abstract expressionism is it put New York on the map as being the art center of the world. You need to remember that in the 40s, World War II had just ended. Europe was in disarray. Before this time, Paris had always been considered the art center, or London, but it had never been in America. So abstract expressionism really brought the art center of the world to New York City. One of the abstract expressionists, Robert Motherwell, who coined the phrase the New York School to describe the group of abstract expressionism artists, what they were doing in New York City, and specifically in the Manhattan area. So it really was, abstract expression has two forms to it. There's basically action painting. And of course, the most famous action painter is probably Jackson Pollock, and his famous painting of dripping and things on the canvas, and how he worked on the floor, and he'd reach over the canvas with his brush, and he would drip the paint onto it layer upon layer. That became sort of the new technique for this painting. The other one, of course, was William de Kooning, and he's quite well known for using many different colors, all these bright colors, and they could loosely be a woman or a cityscape or something like that. But it had these bright, different colors to it. The other group was called the color field paintings. And, two of my favorite artists in this is, of course, Mark Rothko, who's really well known for his paintings. A lot of them were squares and rectangles, and just, they actually look very simple, but they were meant to be very contemplative in nature. And, a lot of the color field painters were more into myth, more into psychology, and it was more like the psychology of the color and other things like that. And the other one, of course, was Clifford Steele, who did a lot of these great jagged edges with colors, these huge oversized, paintings, these large-sized canvases. The color field wasn't just about the color itself, but it was about the spirit that lived in the painting. It was about how the works of art was a living, breathing work of art through the color, and through the color that was being expressed in the art itself. The abstract expressionism movement continued to be very popular throughout the world and the United States. And we can see this in the record number of dollars that have been spent on many of these paintings. Many of Jackson Pollock's work sold for millions and millions of dollars, along with Mark Rothko and many of the others. And even William de Kooning's work has gone for a record number of dollars. Clifford Steele has not allowed many of his works to be sold at auction, but those that were sold at auction have also gone for large amounts of money. And that is because of the fact that this movement of abstract expressionism, this group of American artists that came together in New York City, continues to be a very popular art movement. This is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you'd like to learn more, we'll put some links below for some blogs that you can read from our blog, Anita Louise Art, to have some more detail about abstract expressionism and some of these artists. Thank you for our production crew, Rico, for helping to make this possible. And thank you all for listening.